Wow. Thank you, guys. Well, you'll hear that my voice is not perfect, but when I knew that I was coming to the state of Minnesota, a state that despite the fact that Kamala Harris chose your governor as her running mate, a state Donald Trump is going to win, I said I can't not show up for the people of the great state of Minnesota. So I'm here, bad voice and all. How are we feeling in the state? Are y'all ready to win? So as Pam just said, we have been all over this country. And I can tell you that there is something going on out there, very much like 2016. Anybody remember how incredible that election was? You all remember where you were on November 8th at like 3 o'clock in the morning into the wee hours. Everybody remembers state by state. That's the energy we gotta all get behind us right now, because what we've seen is that on the other side of the aisle, things are very extreme, right? I don't think you get much more extreme. When Kamala Harris had an opportunity, which by the way, let's talk about that for a second. Kamala Harris, a person for whom not a single individual in the entire country voted, now the Democrats' nominee in the least democratic process possible, right? When she decided she had an opportunity to choose a running mate, she had a chance maybe to kind of pivot to the middle, but she didn't do that. She pivoted to the left. And that should be a warning to everyone in this country as to what she would do if she became president of the United States. You think it's bad right now with the policies that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have implemented? Think about that on steroids. Think about it getting far, far worse. And so that's why this election is vital. I don't have to tell anybody here in this room. You know, we've always said, and you hear it every 4 years, it's the most important election, it's the most important election, but you feel it right now in this country, right? You can, it's palpable everywhere you go. And I gotta tell you that it's not even Republican versus Democrat, left versus right anymore. It feels like it is good versus evil in this country, right? It's a spiritual war, it's a spiritual battle we feel like we are in right now in the United States of America. And I don't think a single person watched what happened to Donald Trump on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, and has any question as to whether or not miracles happen, whether or not God exists and performs those miracles. And we know God is on our side in this battle, my friends. There's no doubt. So it might surprise you to find out that about a year ago, had you asked me if I would become the co-chair of the RNC, I probably would have said, I doubt it. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's on the agenda for me. And well, we're here to keep it positive, but I appreciate that. We like to keep things moving in a forward direction. But I got a call one night from a very influential individual. You may have heard of him. His name's Donald Trump. And he said, you know what, honey, you're the only one. I don't know, everybody else wants this job, but it's gotta be you. Would you do it? And I was like, what? And I said, I don't know. I have 2 young kids. My kids are 4 and 6 years old. I have a lot of other things that I have going on professionally in my life. And I said, you know what? I don't know if I have the time for this right now. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, you're the only one. No pressure, but it's got to be you. I was like, but honey, think about it. You think about it, and you let me know. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So that night, as I was tucking my kids in bed, I looked at them, and I knew what taking this position would mean. I knew that when I do something, I don't do it, 20%, 30%. As you can hear, I'm here today with this voice because when I do something, I do it 100%. And I said, I know this means a lot of time away from my kids and family. I know that this will be a lot of work and a lot of time on the road, but I think I have to do it for my kids, because it's not about any of us in this room right now, is it? It's about our kids, our grandkids, future generations, because every American living right now gets to grow up, deserves to grow up in the same America we got to grow up in, right? And that's what we're fighting for right now, no doubt. So I called him and I said, all right, I'll do it. And I got to tell you, it has been amazing to see what has been going on in this country. I mean, you look at Donald Trump on his own. First of all, let's think about the fact that when he came down the golden escalator, any golden escalator fans in the room today? Okay. If you weren't, that's okay. You know, my motto is always, if you decide you're on the team, then you're on the team. You could decide right now here today, you know what, I changed my mind about Donald Trump. I changed my mind about the Republican Party, because that's who we are. We're an inclusive party. We're a big tent. We want everybody to come in. So if you decided late, that's okay with me. But you remember those first couple weeks when Donald Trump announced he was running for president. He came down the escalator and said he was running as a Republican. And they thought they were going to take him out, right? Macy's dropped him, all these people coming out against Donald Trump. And then you had these 16 incredible, very talented candidates in 2016 who was running against. And they all thought, oh, the first debate, that's it. We're gonna knock Donald Trump out of this. And you remember the first question of the first debate? Only Rosie O'Donnell. Who comes up with that? Only Donald Trump, right? And then one by one, those people fell off. And it was Donald Trump left standing as the Republican nominee for president in 2016. And then we had to go against the Clinton machine. And I will tell you guys, I'll be very honest here, none of us in our family had any idea about politics in 2016 or how to defeat Hillary Clinton and the Clinton machine. But I believe the people of this country saw something in Donald Trump in that election. And they saw themselves a little bit in this, they call him the blue-collar billionaire, right? And people started getting behind him. And you had the MAGA movement that was created. And Donald Trump changed this party. Donald Trump changed politics. Look at everybody in this room today. This is incredible for you guys to come out here. And then once he was elected, he did something that was remarkable. Donald Trump kept his promises. We had a motto, promises made, promises kept. Because it's true, because most of the time politicians don't do that, right? He still doesn't like to call himself a politician, by the way. Can you believe that? I get it. He doesn't like to call himself one. But when he actually became president, he got in there and he said, okay, now we get to work. And what he figured out is that Washington, D.C. was much swampier than he originally had guessed, right? But think about, despite all of the incoming he had, all the media working against him, the fights he had with the Democrats, the way they worked against him every single day, think about what he got done. Think about how much more affordable life was. You had the lowest unemployment for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in this country's history, women since World War II. You had manufacturing actually coming back to the United States and trade deals that people said would never happen with the likes of China. You had peace agreements in the Middle East instead of wars in the Middle East like we have right now. He did something that every president before him had said that they would do, but no one did. Donald Trump did it. Moved the American embassy to Jerusalem. Recognized the Golan Heights for Israel. Let's face it, you never had a stronger ally in the United States than when Donald Trump was in office for Israel. And to see what's going on right now is terrifying. It's awful. We shouldn't see that happening. He had meetings with Kim Jong-un to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. He gave us energy independence, and we were almost energy dominant as a country, despite all that they were doing to work against him. And then, of course, we all think back to 2020 and the reason we're here today, right? Because we can never see another election like 2020 happen, my friends. And we never will, and it's because of all of you here today. And I'll tell you, no one worked harder in that election than those of us in our family. Nobody put more of their blood, sweat, and tears into it than those of us in our family. And it was devastating to see how everything ended up. But I believe that sometimes things don't happen in our time. They happen in God's time. And if you think it's true, yeah, gotta give him the credit. And you look around at what's been going on in this country and how many people are now waking up. They're not woke, they're awake, right? Don't get it twisted. And once you wake up and you see what's been going on, you don't go back to sleep. And so many people, I think, have really understood what is going on in this country and why it's important to vote for our candidates, not based on what the mainstream media tells you, not based on old Scranton, Uncle Joe from Scranton, an old grandfatherly figure, bring dignity back to the White House with the white powder and the topless transgenders on the White House lawn. That Joe Biden. You vote for people based on policy. And you might not love everything Donald Trump tweeted, but you cannot argue that your life was better, that we were on a better trajectory as a country when Donald Trump was in the White House and when his policies were in place. So I think a lot of people had to learn a hard lesson there. And so after I got this call and I found out who I would be beside our chairman, Michael Whatley, we got together and we said, all right, as we had already heard from some of our previous speakers, how do we do this? What is our goal at the RNC? How do we make sure we never repeat what happened in 2020 ever again? And we said, we're gonna put together the largest, most aggressive, and most comprehensive election integrity operation in the history of American politics, because we believe when every legal vote is counted and only legal votes are counted, Donald Trump will win on November 5th. Yeah. So, we have been all across this country. We've been in Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin. Where am I missing, Pam? We're missing a couple. Florida, we have been everywhere. We are now in the great state of Minnesota because you may have noticed we put Minnesota on our battleground state map. Yeah. So we can't do it by ourselves. We need an army out there. We need a team of people who cares about free, fair, and transparent elections. And this isn't just for Republicans. By the way, we have extended this offer to our friends at the DNC. If they would like to join us in this election integrity operation, we would love to have them. Now, we have not gotten an answer back from our friends across the aisle at the DNC. And we want every person in America to feel like their vote matters and their vote counts. It shouldn't matter if you're voting for a Republican, a Democrat, or a third-party candidate. It is integral to who we are as Americans that we trust our electoral process. And that is where you guys come in. So I want to just first of all say thank you. Thank you for being willing to come here today, to do the training, to do the work, to be part of this team. We have to have people every time a vote is cast and every time a vote is counted in the room watching. You are going to learn here today everything you need to know, things you never knew you needed to know about election integrity, about how to be a poll watcher, a poll worker, to work in the tabulation center, as Pam just said earlier, be a legal expert wherever the lawyer was in here. This is the one place that we actually like lawyers. I'm just kidding. Because we need you on the ground so that we're not waiting a day, a week, a month later to address an issue. We're addressing the issue right then and there in that moment. And that, my friends, is how we have free, fair, and transparent elections here in the United States. Now, the fact that we had to get to this place is a little upsetting, but here we are, and we're going to put the work in. We're going to do it here in Minnesota. We're going to do it all across this country, because I got to tell you guys, you can hear, I'm exhausted. My friend, this dog, oh my God, I'm obsessed with you. He wants to be friends. I know I'm missing my two dogs. I'm exhausted already. You hear my voice? I can't be going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning on election night, okay? How do you think it sounds if we shut this thing down, let's say 10 p.m. on election night, go to bed, knowing Donald Trump is the 47th president, knowing that we have expanded our lead in the House, knowing we have taken back the Senate? I want an early one that night, and I believe with all of you here in this room, we can do that. And I'm just going to leave you with one thing. They get very upset in the media whenever I say this, so I'm going to go ahead and say it right here, right now. This is about making sure that we have eyes on things so that we catch anyone who may be cheating. We also want to be a deterrent to someone who might be cheating or considering cheating. So our message from the RNC is, if you are a person who is cheating in an election, we will find you, we will track you down, and we will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. They don't like that. Likewise, if you are a non-citizen voting illegally in an election, we'll find you, we'll track you down, we'll prosecute you to the full extent of the law, and you're leaving this country, okay? Very simple, very easy. So thank you guys. I really want to say thank you. Thank you for being here for this. Thank you for fighting for our country. Thank you for being a patriot, for your prayers for my father-in-law and our entire family. And on behalf of being a mom and my 2 kids, I just want to say thank you, because it's because of all of you that we're going to make sure that this country is great again for the future generations of this country. We're saving it starting here today in the state of Minnesota, and we're taking it all the way to November 5th to a big win on election night. So thank you guys for all you do.